Hello and welcome to Busy is Not a Strategy. Today we're going to be looking at how getting clarity or direction around your intentions can help you get less busy, less overwhelmed, and more productive. Let's get started. So, hello again to those that were here a minute ago or so, and hello to the new people that have joined since. Welcome to Busy is Not a Strategy. Very excited about today's content and where it might go and how it might provoke your thinking around getting clarity or direction on goals, both business goals and personal goals, and vision and mission and things like that. So, like I see, there's lots of people in the room. There's Rob's there, and Sharon, and Steve. Hello, Steve, and Emma, and etc. etc. Anyway, so as always, if you've got any questions as I'm going through, please feel free to pop them in the Q&A box. And the stupider the question or the sillier the question, the easier the question to answer, then that works very well for me. So please don't be afraid to ask the stupid questions. You can also ask the hard questions too. If you keep those in the Q&A box, and then any comments or observations or questions, there's going to be some questions that I'm going to ask today as I go through. You pop those in the chat box, and you can have a bit of a conversation amongst yourselves over there. So without further ado, let me press that, and hopefully share that screen. So you should be able to see the holding slide. And I want to share with you a couple of rules today before we start. I say rules. The first one's not really a rule. The first one is to say thank you to you for coming along live. And if you're watching the recording, thank you for finding the time to watch the recording. I know it's been really busy for lots of you up to the 31st of January. And for lots of you as well, you're running around at the moment trying to get VAT returns filed for the 7th of February. So your December year ends are all there and everything. So I understand that this week is a busy week for you, and I thank you for taking the time to come along and hopefully give yourself some perspective and improve the likelihood of you making progress within your practice. And then, as I just said a minute ago, during the course of today's session, I'll be asking some questions. There'll be an opportunity for you to think. A little period, a little exercise. But you don't have to share any of that publicly if you don't want to. You can put it in the chat box if you want to, but if you don't want to, then just write it down privately and keep it, and away you go. So there's no pressure to share publicly at all. So today we are going to look at intentions, and intentions is the I in impact. And impact is a mnemonic of a process, if you like, a system, whatever it is that I've come up with off the back of doing loads of work, a partial revision of Manage the Bottleneck, which is the book that I wrote, and is my latest sort of level of thinking around how you can run an accountancy practice in the era that we're in. And behind impact, there are 6 pillars, if you want to call them pillars. 6 sections is probably a better description. And then within those sections, there are some tools and resources. So there's 30 of them in total, just over 31. Tools and resources that you can implement. You call them assets, commercial assets, whatever you want to call them. But the tools and resources and things that you can implement in order to have a practice that runs effectively when you're not there, if you don't want to, but certainly that's one within your control. So just give you a background. Impact stands for I is the intentions. M is for mindset, which we talked about on Tuesday at the Connect event. P stands for productivity. A stands for altogether, and that is all around the team. C stands for customers, and then T stands for turnover. So the difference between customers and turnover: customers is all around about how you get the customers to do what you want them to do, how you hire them and fire them and all those sort of things. So lead gen and lead conversion. And then turnover is all around about maximizing the value of the customer asset that you've got. So looks at price increases and extra work orders and things like that. But anyway, we haven't got time to go into all that in any great detail today, but over the next 6 months, I think it is, this one slipped slightly, but yeah, over the next 6 months, you're going to get an opportunity to learn all around each of those. But as I say, today we are looking at intention, and more specifically, we are looking at how most people think they should be. And there's a lot of exaggeration, if you like, around setting intentions or setting goals and objectives and things like that. So we're gonna dumb that down a bit and hopefully give you a bit of a break around that. The core problems that people have around setting goals or intentions. the pain that not doing that causes you. Then we're going to have a look at what most bookkeepers and accountants actually want within their practice and how you can work and set those intentions in order to achieve that. And you don't have to, as you're going to work out, you don't have to set these big goals. We only sort of set stepping stones, for want of a better word. There is something that is currently stopping you at the moment. And hopefully I'm going to give you some insight. There's going to be some aha moments around that. And once you become conscious of what it is that's stopping you from getting what it is that you want, then you're halfway to getting that removed and being able to do something about it. And then ultimately what the word intentions really means and the next step. At the end, I'm going to give you a really easy next step that you can take. I know some of you are already taking it, but then it gives you the next step in order to start focusing on or becoming conscious of the problems that you've got within the practice. Because once you've got the problems identified, you can then go out and look for solutions to solve the problems, which is very different to what most people do within any business. What most people do within any business is they go out and they look for ideas to implement, and you end up with all these ideas. And as you'll hear, you'll end up with overwhelm, and you don't actually solve the problems because the problems are more difficult to solve, and blah, blah, blah. It goes round and round and round. So, what most people or how most people think they should be when it comes to setting intentions or setting goals. So, they think they should be big, bold, courageous goals. Yeah, you see it all the time. Yeah, so especially around this time of year, especially around January, you'll have people at the moment, they're posting on LinkedIn and posting in the Facebook group saying tax returns not going to be the same next year. I'm going to get them all filed by July. So they think that these goals, in order for it to be motivational, need to be big, bold, and courageous. So I'm going to fly to the moon. I'm going to run a marathon. I'm going to swim the ocean or whatever it is. And that's because society puts those people in front of you. So if you've walked 10 miles today, for argument's sake, that's not going to make the news. But if you've ran 7 marathons in 7 days on 7 continents, that's unusual and it will be in the news. But it is unusual. So the things that you're doing, the goals that you're setting, the objectives that you're setting, the intentions that you're setting do not need to be big, bold, and courageous. Most people think they should be more disciplined. Now, there is always this thing where you've got to be perfect. And again, social media has magnified this massively, that you need to be more disciplined, you need to be perfect. In order to be perfect, you'll make progress as fast as you can. And there's a great book out there, Rob Newman, who is in the room, recommended it to me many moons ago, that discipline equals freedom. And the more you can be focused in the direction that you want to go, the more freedom you have. So that despite the fact that you're actually being disciplined around it, it gives you more freedom. But anyway, I'm going off track. Most people think they should be getting more done. Again, they look around, they talk to people. We look at clients and think, blimey, that client's getting loads of stuff done. So they put pressure on themselves to set these bigger goals, these bigger ambitions goals, and get more things done in a day, in a week, in a month, in a quarter, and then over the course of the year. Most people think they should be working smarter, not harder. Getting that into practice is a challenge, is a bit more difficult, but they accept that they should be working smarter rather than harder. And as I've already said, they should be out running marathons, climbing Everest, or the magic one that every marketer uses, turning over 7 figures. Yeah, so we have this thing within the profession where you need £1 million practice or whatever it is. So what I'm going to ask you to do, and if you do nothing else from today's conversation, from today's webinar, other than this, and it's give yourself a break. Yeah, just give yourself a break. You are doing fine exactly as you are. You are doing the best you can with the tools and resources that you have got. Yeah. So whether those tools and resources are the money that you've got or your mindset that you've got, you are currently doing the best you can with the tools that you've got, and you need to give yourself a break. There was a great post on LinkedIn I was looking at the other day where the poster had shared that you've got people that have got kids and dogs and sick relatives that they're looking after, and they're taking their kids backwards to school, and they've got all this stuff going on, and then they're comparing what they're achieving either personally or within their business against people that are posting on LinkedIn that haven't got any of that baggage because they've moved over to foreign places and all the other sorts of stuff. So Give yourself a break. Yeah, you are doing all right. You are doing the best that you can with the tools that you got. If you, as I say, if you take nothing else away from today's conversation other than that, give yourself a pat on the back. I think you'll have done well. So I've started sort of coining. It's not a new phrase, but my challenge to you is to look after the pennies and allow the pounds to look after themselves. Yeah, you've all heard of that phrase before. Look after the pennies and the pounds look after themselves. And the idea, the concept behind that, if you like, is within each pound, the pound is made up of 100 pennies. So within each goal, nearly always there are multiple pennies that make up that goal. And again, back on Tuesday when we was at the Connect meeting, people were setting goals. I don't know what let's say increase turnover to £10,000 a month for argument's sake. That sounds like a goal, yeah. That could be a pound goal. And then we could break that down and say, right, the first step of doing £10,000 a month is to do £1,000 a month. So the penny becomes £1,000 a month. Even that sounds, depending on where you are, that sounds like a bit of a big goal. So the idea, and I've not got it with me, it's in the speaker box at work, but I have a Russian doll. And you know how a Russian doll works. Inside a Russian doll is lots of little tiny dolls. They get littler and littler and littler. I carry the Russian doll around with me when I'm presenting in order to remind myself that inside every goal is a Russian doll. So break it down and make it more achievable. So, how do you do that? Well, the first thing you need to do, the number one thing that you need to do, is to get clarity around what it is that you want to do. And I'm going to talk to you about why that's the case now. But as I was designing this presentation, I had one of those moments where I'm thinking the word clarity. It's like that could scare people because the word clarity means that you're totally clear, you're totally determined and disciplined. You know exactly where it is that you are going with clarity. I thought that was quite a bit threatening. So what I've done now is I've changed the word clarity to direction. Yeah. So you need to understand what direction that you're going in rather than having clarity over where you are going. Now, direction for me gives me a bit of an out because I know I'm going over there. I'm going in the general direction of there, and it doesn't really matter how I get there as long as I get to that end point over there somewhere. So having a ring of direction around where it is that you're going allows you to understand and work out what needs to go onto your to-do list and how to get it off your to-do list. And there are only two ways. Sorry, just before I get onto that, there's two ways that stuff can get on your to-do list. But this is basically how your business, how you as an individual works. It's just a process. So basically, something comes in to the system, you being the system, you add value, you run a process on whatever it is that's come in, and then what leaves the system, what goes out of the system, hopefully has more value than what came in. And that's basically what people are paying you for. So within an accountancy practice, they're delivering incomplete records. You process those records, out pops a set of accounts and a tax bill. The value that you are adding are in the process. Yeah. Now, there are only two ways, as I said, there are only two ways that things can come into a system. One is from other people, so customers and team, generally speaking, within a business environment. Outside of the business, it could be anybody, but generally speaking, inside the business, it can come from others, customers and team members, or you decide to do it. So you watch a webinar, you go to an exhibition, you read a book or whatever it is, and think, oh, that's a good idea. I'll put that on my to-do list. Now, there are only two ways that it can go now, legitimately. Once it's in the system, there are only two ways that it can go. One is to do it. So you do it yourself. Or the second way is for it to be delegated. So you delegate it to somebody else for them to do. There is a third option, which I don't agree with, because once you've got your ring of direction, your ring of clarity, you shouldn't never be in this situation. But there is a third way where you can forget it, drop it, get bored with it, do a little bit of work on it and forget it. Yeah, so basically you've got a system, you process in the middle, you get stuff on your to-do list by other people giving you it, or you find it yourself, and then you either delegate it or do it yourself. They're the two things. Now, once you've got clarity over the intention, you've got clarity over the direction that you're going in, all of a sudden it makes it far easier to say no, consciously say no, to when other people come and put stuff on your to-do list, and also when you go out and you look at a webinar or read a book or whatever and you start adding stuff on your to-do list. So that's the fundamental element of it for me. So two things, yeah. Firstly, give yourself a pat on the back around being too hard on yourself, being here, but being too hard on yourself. You're doing the best you can with the tools you've got. And secondly, is to get some clarity or some direction, I should say. It's ingrained in me, that word clarity. Get some direction over where it is that you're going in order for you to be able to say no to what comes on or off your to-do list. Thank you, Robbie. It's a great book. I had it. It was here, black book. It was here for ages. It's gone in the cupboard now, so I can't show you what it was. But anyway, so they're the first 2 points. Let's have a look at your core problems. So, core problems of most business owners, but accountants and bookkeepers, as I see them, is that they end up reacting rather than deciding. Now, if you've got your ring of direction, yeah, so you know where you are, that makes it a whole lot easier to decide where it is that you're going and what you are choosing to do. Most practitioners end up consuming ideas instead of implementing. It's far easier to go along to a webinar, come here today, come to a Connect meeting, go to an exhibition, read a book or whatever it is, and come up with ideas than it is implement those ideas. So spotting an idea, all you've got to do is just write it down, or you type it into your to-do list, or you stick it on Asana, or blah, 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 blah. Yeah, it's really easy. And then it's done. A little bit of dopamine. That was a good idea. A little bit of dopamine. You've got it on your to-do list. Now, implementing those ideas, or even prioritizing those ideas. I've had a conversation with somebody today on LinkedIn. Prioritizing those ideas to know which ones to implement is a difficult step. That alone, implementing them. So most business, and it's a problem because it consumes time. Once you've got all of those ideas, it creates overwhelm, as you'll see in a minute. People end up working hard, but feel like they're getting nowhere. Again, I've got a post going on LinkedIn tomorrow morning about that. You begin the week, Monday, you've got a list of things to do. You spend all week at work, running around, jobs, telephone calls, meetings, etc., etc. And on a Friday afternoon, your to-do list is exactly the same size as what it was on the Monday morning. Now, it might be slightly different things on the to-do list, but you feel like, and I still do it, I just get to the end of the week and think, blimey, what have I done? I've been running around all day, and I don't know what I have actually done, but I've been busy all day. And then people wait for the space that never comes. And this is predominantly now, we're talking about tax returns, where people are going, it's going to be different next year. Yeah, so I've had a horrible January, a horrible December. I was filing tax returns at 10 o'clock on Saturday night, but it will be different next year. I'm going to start in April. Now, we're already starting, the people who are in the Tax Return Commitment Club, which is a part of Bounce, we're already starting planning next year now while the pain is real. I think the meeting is next Tuesday morning, if I remember rightly. So the people who are in Bounce, they'll be coming in the tax return, they'll start planning next year. In March, there will be a launch party around Tax Return Commitment Club in order to enable you to join in order to get ready for next year. So we're not worrying about it, not pushing it back until April, or we'll start it in May once the P60s have been issued or whatever it is. We're not pushing it back. We're getting on with it now. You know the feeling about waiting for the space. It's that point where on a Thursday you think, oh, the diet's rubbish. I'll start again on Monday. Yeah. Or I'll start exercising again on Monday, and I'll put it off. Yeah. Or I'll do it when I've sacked somebody, or I'll do it once this customer's set of accounts is. There is always a reason to put off implementing stuff. But as I've already alluded to, lots of these, they all lead to you feeling overwhelmed. Lots of times it leads to you feeling like a failure, or you feel like you're going to get found out because you're juggling all these balls, and there's this sort of internal monologue that says, oh, I'm not quite sure. I think I might drop one of these balls and somebody's going to find me out, and I end up getting sued, or I make a mistake, or I have to ring a client and explain to them what the problems were or whatever. So there's this ultimate self-doubt in the back of your mind because you've got so much on and you haven't got clarity over where it is. Where you're going. So this is the first point. I'm just going to have a cup of tea and I'm just going to be quiet for 30 seconds or so. First point where I've got a question for you to reflect on. And that question is, if nothing changes within your practice over the next 12 months, what would quietly frustrate you or disappoint you? Now, if there's something there that comes to mind, yeah, instantly comes to mind, what I want you to do is be conscious of that because it's very easy to go, oh, no, that's not it, push it away and come up with something more superficial. So, what would quietly frustrate you or disappoint you if it didn't change in the next 12 months? And if you've got something, well, you will have something because we've all got something. Write it down on a piece of paper because that's potentially your first action. And just while you do that, I'm going to have a quick drink. And if you want to post it in the chat, please post it in the chat. Brilliant. Thank you. Um, so yeah, if nothing changed over the next 12 months, what would quietly, I can't say the word quietly now, frustrate or disappoint you? So let's have a look at what most accountants and bookkeepers really want. I've had these conversations over and over and over and over again, and it becomes this is it's an in-depth conversation because when you're having these conversations about what people really want, what accountants and bookkeepers really want, there's this superficial stuff that comes up when you start, and they'll say things like, "Oh, I want more time," or "I want better systems within my practice," or "I want less stress. I want to go home at 5 o'clock on a Friday. I don't want to sit there and watch everybody else go home while I've got to stay work," or "I'm not making enough money." And I want more money. And they are generally speaking the surface level problems that people come up with. And when you talk to business owners, you know that they come up with those same things as well. So they want more time, they want more systems, they want less firefighting, if you like, they want less stress, and they want more money. Now, what's underneath them, in my opinion, what they really, really want is they want more direction. Because as soon as you've got more direction, know where you're going, then it becomes a lot easier to identify what it is that you're going to implement. And therefore, by natural selection, you have more time because you're focused on what it is that you are doing. They want more control and they want to feel like they're in control. And again, I had this conversation yesterday with somebody. They feel their practice management system isn't working properly. And because of that, he's having to check what filing deadlines need to be filed, and he feels out of control because the team aren't monitoring, aren't looking, and he's having to double check, and it scares him because obviously missing filing deadlines. We don't even know whether we filed every client's tax return, was one of his statements. It's like, that's scary. Yeah. So you don't want systems, you want the control that the system gives you, the surety, if you like, the confidence that that control gives you. You also want calm. Yeah. So you don't want to be stressed out, running around, panicking that you might miss something, writing notes and then losing the notes, putting reminders on post-it notes on your screen or reminders on your phone or whatever it is. You want to be cool, calm and collected, if you like. You want to be calm and know that you're in the right place and you're doing a good job. And then all of those things, they come back to give you confidence in your own ability. That confidence then turns into pricing and delivering the value that you know you can for the customer, and ultimately then that turns into money in your bank account. And there was a famous quote, I can't think who it was that said it there, but money in the bank is basically the silent applause for a job well done. So the better that you are at the job, the more money will flow into the bank account, and that effectively comes through confidence. All of those, in summary, is a practice that works on purpose. Yeah. So it's got control, you've got direction, you know what you're doing. And it's a systematic process that produces the results, delivers the value to your clients that you get fairly and well rewarded for. So, what's stopping most accountants and bookkeepers, in my experience, what's stopping most accountants and bookkeepers getting there? Well, as I've already said, collecting ideas feels safer than deciding. Yeah. So I can collect all of these ideas and I can put them in a spreadsheet or I can put them on Asana, and I feel like I'm being busy. And that feels safer than actually making a decision, because if I make a decision, I might get it wrong. Yeah. And I've had this conversation lots of times with people that I do one-to-one coaching with. Part of that coaching, the big part of that coaching, is they come to me with ideas that they want to implement, and then I give them permission to act. So it's like, I've got this idea. What do you think? We talk about it. We might modify it and change it a little bit. But as soon as I say, yeah, I think that's a good idea, that gives them permission to act and they go and implement it. So within the one-to-one world, most people just need a good listening to, and then they need permission to act on what it is that they think they should do. But collecting ideas often feels safer than actually deciding and then implementing those ideas. In case you get it wrong, you make a mistake, you end up spending time or worse, money doing something that you then have to undo. The feeling of busy creates the illusion of progress. So you might have this idea that you're running around and I'm doing this and I'm doing that, and you're telling your mates in the pub that I'm working till 8 o'clock at night and I'm doing this and blah, blah, blah. And that creates the illusion of process. I must be going somewhere. I must be increasing turnover working this hard, or, excuse me, I must be creating systems, or I must be creating a legacy, or whatever it is, by working this hard. So that's the illusion that you're creating. That's the justification that you're creating in yourself in order to justify the fact that you're being busy. But if you get into the psychology of being busy, generally speaking, it's because you don't want to feel the emotions that you're in, or you don't want to. You've got fear around what it is that you're deciding to implement. And then you've got hard questions get postponed. Again, it's a brilliant coaching question that I use a lot. What problem or what decision are you delaying in the vain hope that the problem will go away? And we all do it. We all know what we should really be doing, but we go back to that Monday morning thing again where we think, oh, we know what we should be doing, but I'll put it off because that problem might go away. The team member might resolve themselves. The customer might go and choose another accountant. We'll increase the price and the customer it might leave. There's all these different things. It's like money laundering is another one where people think to themselves, oh, well, not had a visit, don't need to worry about doing my firm-wide risk assessment or whatever it is. And we put it off on the basis that it might never happen. Yeah. So those hard questions, those hard decisions get postponed. And then, as I've always said, the space always gets delayed. And even if you put the space in the diary in order to do whatever it is that you're going to do, it's very easy now just to move it across and do the busyness work. Yeah. The stuff that's smacking you in the face through fear of scarcity or whatever it is, in order to work out where you are going. So, and I've already preempted, I've forgotten this slide was here, but I've got a bit of a thing. I'm going to give you a 30 seconds or so to think about it. But again, I want to emphasize when I ask these questions, it's the thing that comes up in your head, the first thing that comes into your head just before you say to yourself, oh no, that's not it, and you push it away. So when you read the question, I'll read the question out, but when you see the question or hear the question, what I would like you to do is be conscious of the first thing that comes into your head, and then whatever that is, write it down. Okay, you ready? What's the one decision you're putting off in the vain hope the problem will go away? Whatever comes up for you, let's get it down on a piece of paper. Okay, did we come up with something? If you want to, I don't know, you put them in the Q&A box or WhatsApp them to me. I'd be really interested. It'd really help. I mean, if we spent some time, you and I, either through one-to-one or through bounce, working on what that decision is that you're putting off, it could have a dramatic effect on where you are as an individual and where the practice is going. I love that question. There's another one that I used, and I know I've not got this in the slide deck in a minute, but again, the first thing that comes into your head, uh, what are you pretending not to know? Okay, what are you pretending not to know? So you know those thoughts when you're sitting there and you think, "Oh yeah, oh I don't really know that." I mean, what's the problem that you're ignoring? Yeah, what's the elephant in the room that you're thinking don't really exist? It's not really a problem. You're kind of justifying it to yourself as not really being a problem in order for you not to face it. If there's something come up for you within that question, pop it on your sheet, because that's where the gold is. That's where the magic is. If you set an intention around that, dealing with that, if you did nothing else other than look at that in the next month, next 3 months, next year, whatever it is, then it will have a profound impact on where you are going. So, what do intentions really mean for us within the Accountants Mastermind? So it's not about goals and vision boards. You can have goals and vision boards if you like. It's not about long-term plans, and it's most certainly not about changing the world. It's not about 10-year forecasts and retirement plans and going out and implementing AI or producing reports or as changing the client's world. As I say, it's not about any of that. Yeah, that's all that big, bold, courageous stuff that I talked about at the start. What it is about having a decision filter for this year. And I'm going to talk to you about what decision filters are in a moment. And I know this is Rob's favourite question at the end, but it's about having a decision filter so you can understand whether something, an idea or a question that you're about to put on your to-do list is the right thing to do to move you in the direction that you would like to go. So it's around having a decision filter for this year or this month or this day, or most importantly, in this moment. Yeah. So if you've got a filter, a decision filter that you can rely on when something comes up, when you get asked a question or you have a telephone call from a client, or you're on a video or WhatsApp or your WhatsApp group or in your Facebook group, or you're reading a book, you can have this decision filter there in front of you, and it will save you endless amounts of time. And I keep asking myself this question. I've got this thing about writing another book, and I keep asking myself this question. And each time I think about writing the book, I ask myself the question, and then I don't write the book. But anyway, let me give you the question, and hopefully, if you're a part of the WhatsApp group or the Facebook group or follow me on LinkedIn, you'll have seen this question 1,001 times. But the question that there's loads of decision filters, but this one works for all of your direction or all of your intentions. And it is, what problem is this a solution to? So when you have an idea, when you have an idea or you read a book or on a webinar, and you think, oh, that's a good idea, I'll put that on my to-do list. Yeah, I'll put it in my inbox. If you ask the question, what problem is this the solution to? If you can't identify a problem, you don't need the solution. Yeah, you just dump it. And you'll have seen this. You'll have seen me post about it in the WhatsApp group, as I say, in the Facebook group, all of the time. People come in and say, I'm thinking of ditching whatever piece of practice management software in order to go over to this bit of practice management software because this bit of practice management software doesn't do X, Y, and Z. And it's like, okay, so what problem is this a solution to? The reality of it is, with practice management software, people think it's going to be finished, but it's never finished. It's always a work in progress. It's a big job. So they need to look after the pennies. You need to chunk down, implement it in a piece of practice management software. They try and do it all at once. They try to do it in a month. There's loads of reasons why practice management software, they don't work out what the triggers are. They don't reward success. There's loads of reasons why practice management software doesn't work. Yeah. Not necessarily because the piece of software isn't good enough. Yeah. So the question becomes, what problem is this a solution to? So there are lots of different questions. Another great one that comes from a book that Deborah Searle wrote. Will it make the boat go faster? The boat being the metaphor for the direction. Yeah. So will it get you to where I need to go or where I want to go faster? The answer to that is no, you don't do it. If it's yes, you implement it. And there are 101. When you read the books, David Brailsford's got loads of different things about the 1% effect, etc., etc. There's loads of these ideas, loads of these filters that enable you to decide whether or not you should be putting something and implementing it on your practice. The big thing, the number one thing that you have to do to start with, though, is to make sure you have worked out the direction that you're going in order to know whether you've got a problem or need that solution in order to solve that problem. So we are, what are we on? Half past. We've got about 10 minutes left, which we're not going to need. So if anybody's got any questions, feel free to pop them in the Q&A box and I will gladly answer them as we go through. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to share the next step. And what you can do in order to, if you're sat there thinking, oh, I don't know what it is, I don't know where my direction is, I don't know what I'm going to do, where I'm going to go, then I'm going to give an opportunity in a minute to have basically do an assessment, and that will give you some focus, hopefully, on the things that you could think about looking at. Rob says he's going to have, will I make the boat go faster, and what problems is the solution with Simon's image on the wall in the office? Yeah, great questions. Thanks, Rob. I remember I've got a picture of you somewhere. Could have put it in the slide deck, couldn't I? Rob's got it printed out and put it on his wall. There's a number of members of the community that have printed out that picture and put it on whiteboards and the like. But anyway, the next step. So what I want you to do is I want you to stop putting the cart before the horse. Now, I tried to get ChatGPT to generate a picture of a cart before a horse. And ChatGPT just wouldn't do it. All ChatGPT would do is put a horse before a cart. And I had a bit of an argument with it because that's what I wanted. I wanted a cart before a horse, not a horse before a cart. But it came back and said, look, a horse before a cart is the way it is. Yeah. So I couldn't get it to generate it. But the reason why I wanted a picture of a cart before a horse, a bit paranoid, I'm going to get the wrong way around, but the reason I wanted a picture of a cart before a horse is because I believe that's what most practitioners do. Yeah. The cart represents the ideas. Yeah, you can put all the ideas into your cart. Yeah, and then the horse is the donkey work, if you like, the leg work that needs to happen in order to implement those ideas. Yeah. Now, if you identify your problems, yeah, you identify where it is that you want to go, you then identify the problems that are stopping you getting to where it is that you want to go, then you can go out and you can look for solutions to the problems that you've got that are preventing you from getting to your intentions. Yeah, but the first step, and for lots of people, the hard step is the intentions. The next one is working out the problems that you've got to solve in order to get to the intentions. And then where the ones that's easy is coming up with the solutions or the ideas. And that's where everybody goes because it's cool and it's sexy. So we've got a little method to help you come up with or focus on your biggest problem areas within your practice. So it won't give you the intentions, but we'll come back a step. Yeah. So if you want to go away, you can think about, I have this exercise, 100 goals. You can go away and think about 100 different things that you want to implement in your practice, prioritize them into order, etc., and then implement them over the next year. Or you can go through and do this assessment. And what that will do is that will give you, it'll assess the practice across impact. Mark's going to put the link in the chat box now, so you can click on that. It takes less than 3 minutes. I think the average to do it is 3 minutes, 10 seconds. So you'll be able to do that while I'm finishing talking. And what it will do is it will come back and it will give you a percentage score across impact, which is intentions, mindset, productivity, all together, which is team stuff, customers and turnover. You'll be able to work out which of the areas you're weakest, and then it will give you suggestions on things that you can do. Now that identifies the problems that you've got in the practice, and if you look at the lower percentages, obviously it will give you the bigger problems, and then you can simply go to banish the bottleneck if you want, because all the answers are in banish the bottleneck, or post questions on the WhatsApp group or the chats or the Facebook group or whatever. Join Bounce and you'll get there quicker. But you can then start working and solving those problems. And over time, when you're brave enough, you can then start to share your intentions. So it helps you find the ideas to solve the problems, yeah, rather than find the ideas to implement. So, as I said, Mark's put that in the chat box. If you click on that, as I say, I think it's 3 minutes 24. In order to complete that. So whilst you're doing that, I haven't got any questions in the Q&A box, but there was a couple on the form that I can answer that people submitted as they registered for the webinar. So Joanne, whether Joanne's in the room, no, Joanne's not in the room. Joanne asked, how can I sort my life out and stop running around like a headless chicken? Well, I think I've answered that, Joe, during the course of the presentation. The simple thing is to get clarity over the direction you want to go to, or just the general direction that you want to go to. And then once you've got that general direction, you can then start deciding what gets onto your to-do list, because the only way something can get on your to-do list is if you say yes to it. And then you can work out if it gets on your to-do list, whether you are the best person to do it or whether you can delegate it. And how you delegate to somebody else is a presentation all in itself. But that's the simple answer to that, Joanne. Get that clarity. Shelley's asked for, how do we put these things into practice? Again, I think I've covered this, but in order to get competent at something, in order to get confident at something, you have to start doing it. Yeah. Now, some people will sit there and they'll look at a blank piece of paper. I've got a blank piece of paper in front of me there. They'll look at the blank and it's really difficult to get started. Yeah. Now, once upon a time, there are people in the world that just tell you to start. Now, in the world of AI, you don't even have to do that anymore. You can open up Claude or ChatGPT or whatever it is, and you can ask ChatGPT, what goals do you think, or what intentions should I set for the next month? It will come back with something, and then you've got to start. And if it comes back and it says something, I don't know, lose 3 stone, and you go, oh, that's a stupid thing. Yeah, it's not three stone, it's a stone. Or I don't like that one, I like that one, I like that one, I don't like that one. All of a sudden you've got something that you're working with, yeah? So you've got the flywheel moving. So never start with a blank piece of paper. Always get something on. I know I've given you three questions today of what you're pretending not to know, what problem is this a solution to, and what vein problem are you or decision are you putting off in the vein, hoping it will go away. Those types of questions, they will have given you something to get down on that bit of paper, and get starting. I've got two more to go. Kay's asked, how do I plan work so it's not a last minute rush every year? Well, that goes back again to, for me, setting intentions, setting the intention that you're not going to do that, and then having ultimately the discipline to follow that through. But if you work out and know what it is, so the intention becomes not a last minute rush every year. So flip that into the positive, to file everything within so no closer than 4 weeks to the deadline or whatever it is that you want to do. So flip it into the positive, and then the question becomes, right, that's where I want to go. The question becomes, what problems, what things are stopping me from achieving that? And then once you know that, then you can go out and look for the solutions. That's a brilliant example of how you go through and work out where it is that you want to go. And then the last one is from Fahad, around performance measurement. How do I implement performance measurement for the team? And again, I had this conversation lots of times. People go to performance measurement for the team because it feels like a quick fix. You can see the problem smacking you in the face. The team member isn't as effective or as efficient or whatever it is that you want them to be. And therefore, what we need to do is performance management. And we do that through KPIs. The answer to that is always you need to come up out of the team members, because until you know what it is that you want to do, or you know what the business wants to do, you can't set KPIs for the business and then follow those key performance indicators down to the team members. So the team members' key performance indicators need to be directed, or connected, I should say, to the practices KPIs in order for the team to know what they're doing, in order for them to be engaged, in order for you to get where you want to get. So that is the questions that I've got over there. I haven't got any questions over there, so I'll stop sharing that. I hope you go through and complete the scorecard and take the assessment. And if you've got any problems or any challenges as you've done that, there's an opportunity at the end, I think, of that assessment in order to book a call with Mark, and Mark will set you off. We've got loads of resources. It's remarkable when we sit down and look all the different things that are out there, the free stuff that we've produced over the last God knows how many years it is now. We'll point you in the right direction, tell you where to go, and obviously, ultimately, if you want our help and support in order to get there even faster, then we'll gladly do that. So, thank you again for coming along. I know it's a busy week this week, so thank you again for coming along and watching live, or for watching this recording if you've sat on a Saturday night or whatever it is, drinking a glass of wine and watching it. And I hope you got value, and I hope it's inspired, challenged, and supported you to run the best practice you can. Thank you for watching this webinar, where you've discovered all about how setting clarity or having direction around your intentions will help you run a better practice. If you've got value from watching the video, please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button so you get notified next time we put a video up. And also, if you've got any questions or comments, pop them in the Q&A box below or the comments box below, and I will gladly answer them. On your screen now, you should see the next two videos that we recommend you watch in order to continue being inspired, challenged, and supported to run the best practice you can.